So, getting on towards the end of the flying day. This is on Sunday the 2nd of October up at Craigowl. It's still some reasonable lift, but it's not popping as it was earlier on, so just about to have a wee bit of fun, few touch and goes. Total video clip, the raw clip was about 20 odd minutes, but obviously I edited it down. There's a fair bit of time just standing there waiting for the right amount to lift. Not full tip drops, but by looking at the wing you can drop the tip so it's just clear of the ground, and that lets you use the vectored lift of the wing to jog back up to take off. A couple of bits where just take off, carve along, carve back into spot landing on top of rocks, that type of stuff. And then not quite enough lift to fly over the fence, which I sometimes do to land at the trig point, but just backtracking towards the end of this clip, hopping over the fence and then up to the trig point to drop the wing. So you'll see the rocky outcrop further along and slightly down slope, and later on in this clip I just carve along and spot land on top of it, which is it's one of the favourite things to do here when the lift's not too great. So the general wind direction's varying a bit between south and south-southeast. Later on in the day it went further round, but earlier on in the day it was all over the place. So it's just some nice floaty flying. So carving round almost into the slightly lee side, hop over the fence and carve back. Now of course, despite the fact that I'm flying on my own there today, don't have any students out this weekend, you're always wanting to make sure any of the students looking at the videos realise that even when I'm flying on my own, you're constantly check the airspace, constantly looking around, making sure everything's fine. In real flying, particularly on a good lift day, as well as looking left and right, you of course check above. It's not that you're looking at the wing, but you want to check for any aircraft that are higher than you, same as you also look below. It's not just for things like that, the power lines, you look for any aircraft that are scratching below you. So it's very much a 360 degree check. Particularly important when you're coming along towards the end of the ridge and you're about to do a turn, you really want to be looking over your shoulder, checking back. But the important thing is to always have that updated picture so you know where all the other aircraft are likely to be. Makes it much easier to see them. If you're flying along and the sun is in your face, clearly it's much more important. And then the consideration you should have is when you're flying along the ridge with your sun behind you, so your back's to the sun, you're going to have good visibility, but anybody flying the other way isn't. So despite the normal rules of the air which would always apply, sort of if you've got the ridge on your right or left, you should also take into consideration visibility for other pilots. So for instance, flying along this way, while I would have right of way, it's not a big problem. But if you were flying along and the sun was on the other beat, and you're the pilot that has to give away, you've really got to make sure you know where the other wings are, because you might not have such a good picture. Now this beat, I think this might be the one where I do the spot landing, maybe it's later on. No, it's just landing at the top here. So what I'll probably do here is look round at the wing. As you look at the wing, it's going to cause it to drop. Then keeping the wingtip just clear of the ground, you can use the vector so it's producing lift that's to my left, up and very much to the side. And just letting it take me back up to the top bit. So anytime I want the wingtip lower down, just look round at the wing, it tends to turn it down. It's harness control. Priority, main controls are always the harness. Brakes are just used as a secondary additional control when you need a wee touch, particularly if it's a lower rated wing. The actual wing I'm using here is 24 years old, so it's quite an old one. I've got wings that are a lot older than that, but equally I've got wings that are a lot younger. So 100 plus years ago there was a wee bit quarrying here, so just hopping over the little hollows where they'd taken out rocks. There's the rock just to the right that I use as my touch and go spot landing bit. Yep, as I say, looking at the wingtip, drops it down, vectors the lift, and lets you just jog sideways along the face of the hill to the main takeoff. The wing doing all the work. Well, the wing and the wind. Really, the only excuse for looking at the wing is when you want to drop a wingtip down low. Checking the airspace. The clip is actually quite heavily edited down in length compared to the raw footage, but it's quite important to let folks see just how much paying attention you should do. And tiptoe into launch. Again, you can see there, even when I'm using what for me is quite a lot of brake, it's still only 6-8 inches, occasional foot. Most of the controls the harness. I suspect this is the one where it's round to spot landing. Yeah, it looks like it. And touch. It's actually about 3.5-4 foot down as the wee drop, so you definitely don't want to miss your spot landing. So I'll probably look at the wingtip, drop the left wingtip down and jog along the hill in a minute. Yeah. So vectoring the lift very much along at 45 degrees. You can't really see it from the camera, but I'm actually leaning over at about 45 degrees, so I'm pushing down slope against the wing, and it's doing all the work to take me up there, and then as I look away from the wing, just roll it level. And as mentioned earlier, don't forget when you're looking around to check the airspace, also on days like this you want to be looking for any hang gliders that might be overshooting, so you're looking above and behind you. Actually makes the glider fly faster when you're effectively pulling in the wingtips. But the main reason there was just simply to film looking back at the hill. Okay, so carving round left beat and to left turn, almost downwind into the hill, so it's probably 45 degrees tailwind there, hard lean, and then just a tiny dab of brake. Looking at the tip and using the wing to jog back up to the main takeoff. And looking away from the tip in the second and roll the wing level. So we're coming to near the end here, so backtracking, and don't forget when you're moving with the wind in the backtrack, you're reducing the airspeed at the glider. Now often there's enough lift I can just simply fly over and top land next to the trig point, but here taking it up until the left wingtip is about 5-6 foot clear of the barbed wire fence, and it's a bit of a Kind of just time it right, get the feet up, hop over. And there we go. Much easier when you're going forwards. Because of course when you're going forwards, you can use the fourth force, thrust, to give a wee zoom climb bunny hop over the fence. When you're going backwards, you certainly can't do that so easily. Again, backtracking. So negative ground speed. Reducing the airspeed, and just a gentle touch of the safety risers and ease them off and just let the wings settle onto the lip. Quick hop up on top of the trig point to film the last wee bit.